Humility, positivity, compassion, and the limitless boundaries of human endurance are all cornerstones of ultra cyclists and exemplified so well by today's guest, Srinivas Gokulnath. Originally from Bangalore, India, Srini currently serves in the Indian Army as an aerospace physician in South Sudan and holds the proud title of being the first Indian solo racer to complete the 3,000-mile race across America and the 2,200-kilometer race around Austria. Srini holds the Indian national record for cycling from the northern tip to southern tip of India, from Leh to Kanya-kumari, and is also a UN Peacekeeper and TedX speaker. Srinivas has an ultra cycling journey of unforgettable adventures fueled by his humility, passion, and resilience. And his story is one that you definitely want to hear. I'm your host, Justin Tu. Let's roll. Hey Ultra family, Justin Tu here, your host of the Ultra Cycling Show. Thanks for tuning in for today's episode where we have a very special guest, the first Indian ultra racer to complete the race across America and also the race around Austria. It's a pleasure today to have Srinivas Gokulnath on the show with us. He currently serves in the Indian Army as an aerospace physician in South Sudan, but he's originally from Bangalore. So Srinivas, thank you very much for joining me on the show today. Looking forward to talking all about you and your ultra cycling career.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting interview we're having because you actually are actively serving in the Indian Army and you are not currently in India, but in fact you are in South Sudan, right?
Yes, yes.
Pretty
As
cool.
part of UN peacekeeping mission.
Right. Yeah, very cool. So not only are you a stellar athlete, but you're also a peacekeeper. And so you're doing a lot to change the world and use all of your talents and abilities. Very cool. And it's exciting to have you on the show, Srinivas, because as I mentioned, you are the first Indian to complete the Race Across America, which is, of course, one of the premier ultra cycling events in the world. So I'm sure a lot of pride for you, but also for your home country of India, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a big dream come true for me. It's a big accomplishment for me as far as finishing Race Across America, and 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 as such, it's an added bonus when you are the first from the country to finish. As such,
yeah.
that finishing Race Across America itself is a big accomplishment. But when you have an added bonus of, claiming that you're the first Indian, so it becomes much more special that way.
Yeah, most definitely. And of course, we have had one other Indian already on the show, Mayank Tripathi, very strong ultra cyclist himself. Do you know him?
Yeah, I know him. I've ridden with him, and in fact, when I was in Pune, so we have ridden many a time.
How old are you, Srinivas?
I'm 40, Justin.
Wow,
I'm 40 years old.
Well, the ultra cycling is keeping you young. Couldn't tell the difference. Well, Srinivas.
Might be, yeah.
Really a pleasure to have you on the show. I'd love to dive into a sprint round of questions before we get too far into everything Srinivas and ultra cycling. A series of questions to get to know you in a nutshell in a fun way. You can answer it in a few sentences and love to get to know you. Of course, the first question is, how long have you even been riding bicycles, Srinivas?
Yeah, for the past 12 years. Into ultra cycling as such.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's quite a long time. Then I guess you have accomplished a lot in that time. How many bicycles do you currently own?
I have one mountain bike, Orbea, and I have one time trial bike, Giant Trinity. I have one aero road bike, Neil Pride Nazare 2, and one alloy bike that is Specialized Alice Sprint. So these are my bikes. In South Sudan, I have got my Trinity, Giant Trinity. No, even though there are no roads out here, but I have a non-smart trainer here. So I've got that non-smart trainer as well as my Giant Trinity to train on, to spend more time on the time trial bike. So these are the number of bikes that I have.
Very cool. No, that's an interesting dynamic. So no roads out there. And so you really have to be disciplined to keep your training up. And I'm sure you're training a lot, even while you're out there serving, to keep your fitness up. And I know you have many other goals on your roadmap for ultra cycling. So looking forward to chatting all about that. But glad that there is such a thing as a trainer, so you can bike indoors. Now, which of your bicycles is your favorite one?
Yeah, so my favorite was my first bike, that is Giant PCR3. It was an alloy bike. That was my first road bike that I got. And that is my favorite bike because, in fact, that I never made up my mind to buy that bike because at that point of time when I was getting into ultra cycling, I felt it was around $1,000 then, that bike, and I was not ready to invest so much on that. I felt investing on a bike is beyond my ability to think. So one of my friends insisted, you like long distance cycling, so you need a good bike. So I'll help you buy a bike. So he insisted. His name is Vijay. So he's in Bangalore, and he insisted that he will help me buy the bike, and that's how I got my first bike, that is Giant PCR3.
Cool.
So
That's an awesome story.
That's how it. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, nice way to get started. Now, Srinivas, on your bicycles, when you're doing ultra distance races like the Race Across America, or just doing a long training ride, what tire size do you prefer riding with, and at what tire pressure?
Yeah, between 23 to 25, but earlier I was riding 23 in the beginning, but now I have shifted to 25. So from 23 to 25, and PSI, 100 PSI, usually between 90 to 100 PSI.
Now, what bicycle computer do you use, Srinivas? Do you use a Garmin or a Wahoo?
In fact, Justin, I started to use cycle computers only from 2017. I just started in RAAM with a Garmin 500 Edge. That was the first time that I used, and then now I'm using Garmin Edge 1000. So these are the two cyclocomps that I've used. So really, 3 years back, I was using these cyclocomputers. Otherwise, I never used to.
Very
use
impressive.
a cyclocomputer.
Yeah, so I'm not sure you even knew how far you were going. You were probably riding thousands of miles every week, and you didn't even know it.
No. I wish I did that.
That's pretty cool, though. So you only started using a bicycle computer in 2017, but that was actually your second RAAM attempt and your first time completing it. But you did RAAM the year before, and many other events. You said you've been biking for 12 years, so very impressive. And I'm sure you appreciate getting some of that data as you're riding now.
Yeah, I wish I had that data now. It's very nice to look back, even when I look back that 2017 later, from 2017, I look back the data, it looks nice, but it's all right. So from 2009, the way I started and the way I have evolved as an ultra cyclist is interesting for me itself, So that way. In fact, I started off with you wouldn't believe I used to keep a track of the way I used to measure distance is the milestones. I know the rough distance from here to like when I was in Bangalore to Mysore was around 150 kilometers. So I used to keep a track of the milestones that are there. That is okay. I did so many kilometers, and so that way. And also I never used a heart rate monitor or a power, power meter and all that. So I still not used a power meter, but heart rate, since it came to the Garmin, so I started using it just to experiment with it. else, I have not used a power meter as such.
Oh,
Yeah.
very interesting. But it goes to show how much you can accomplish without all the bells and whistles. And I suppose the way that you measure distance sounds like the method that somebody serving in the army might use, I suppose. Very cool, Srinivas. No, it's very good. And I will admit myself, I've been an ultra cyclist for just about 10 years now, so around the same time. And it hasn't been until I
Yeah.
think the last year or so that I started using a power meter myself, and never really bothered
Okay.
with the heart rate monitor because I never liked wearing one. So, but I think one of the things that I'm sure you
Yeah.
can relate to, and many on the show and many other ultra cyclists viewing this can relate that, as an ultra cyclist especially, you really get in touch with your body, and you can learn how your body's feeling and how to cope with it. Although, of course, without those metrics, you may learn some hard lessons, but you'll definitely learn it after a few ultra events. Okay, Srinivas. So I have another question for you then. Do you
Yes.
use Strava or Garmin Connect or any other training program like Training Peaks?
Yeah. In fact, I use Garmin Connect. I use Strava, uh, and I also use Training Peaks, and all the free versions. The Strava, the free version, and also
Hmm.
the Training Peaks, the free version.
Yeah,
Uh,
cool.
yes, yes. Garmin Connect, I do, but Strava, yes. Uh, I often keep checking my Strava, and
Yeah, cool.
yeah, it's exciting to check how my other colleagues do, or other cyclists do, and
Yeah,
yeah, so that way I keep a track, and it's interesting to see the way they ride, and so
right.
yeah. In fact, the reason why I used Strava was to send the data to my coach in 2017, and
Hmm.
also in 2018 for Race Around Austria, to Alberto Blanco. You would know Alberto
Ah,
from
yes.
US, and yeah. So I used to send the screenshots of the Strava data
Hmm.
to him. So yeah, so
Oh,
that
pretty
way,
cool.
that's how I made use of Strava. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
so
So
to keep my coach, and
yeah, for your race across America that you were able to complete in 2017, and of course the race around Austria, you did have a coach preparing for those two events then.
yeah, in 2016, I was when I did not finish the race in my first attempt, wherein I rode till Oxford, Ohio, and I was left with 27 hours. That is time station 41.
Hmm.
That's where I gave up, and the the following year, when I registered, I understood the magnitude of RAM. I understood how big the race is, and I understood how much I need to respect RAM, and how much I need to build in that humility to understand this race
Hmm.
through people who have done this race before. So that's how I did get in touch with Alberto, and also Chris O'Keefe, who was my crew chief. He's also a RAM veteran. He's also finished RAM in 2016.
Hmm.
And so he was my crew chief, and uh, Alberto was my coach. And through them, I did learn a lot about Race Across America. My respect for the race did get much better,
Hmm.
much bigger. And so the following year, 2018, Alberto also helped me to follow the same, kind of training schedule. He did start out a training schedule, training program for me for Race Around Austria.
Hmm.
In fact, even here in 2019 till Jan 2019,
Hmm.
he was sending till Jan 2020. I was still training under him, and
That's great.
now he has taken a break. So because of the uncertainty with the pandemic and all that, no
Hmm.
races, and so he has also taken a break as well as sending a training program for me. So yeah,
Pretty cool.
but yes,
Thanks for sharing all of that, Srinivas.
yeah,
Very interesting to learn.
I did enjoy the journey. Yeah, I did enjoy the journey with these guys. That is Chris
Yeah.
and Chris O'Keefe and Alberto Blanco, and I really treasure them even till date.
I couldn't agree more that it takes teamwork to make the dream work, and glad you were able to put together a great team. And like you said, I think it's very important to emphasize that ultra cycling, especially for some of these really difficult events like the Race Across America, does require a certain level of humility, especially as a rookie or as a person trying to complete it for the first time. It really is a big deal. And even on this show, almost every episode we were talking about the Race Across America and another person finishing it one time or 10 times or however many times. But it can almost make it seem like it's an easy feat. But that's just because there's incredible people and there's a lot of people in the world. But really, the Race Across America is one of the most difficult things that a human can possibly do in every way, both physically, of course, and also mentally. And that's not even talking about the logistics, the planning, all the preparations just to get to the starting line. So I do want to take a moment just to emphasize that again and let everybody know that completing the Race Across America is a big deal, and you being the first Indian to do so is equally a big deal. So congratulations once again on that and all of your other achievements. Now, several more questions here through the sprint round. I'd still love to get to know some other fun facts about you. Next one is, when you're riding, Srinivas, in the Race Across America or in training, what are some of your favorite ride snacks? What do you like eating on the bike?
Oh, during RAM, I used to think about so many Indian snacks, which especially South Indian snacks.
Mm.
I could imagine those South Indian snacks. I know that that's not available. That's not available with my crew. But I used to. My wife was there, and few of my crew members were South Indian friends. I used to tell them I want to eat a chakli. It's a kind of it's made out of rice batter. It is deep
Oh,
fried and
oh,
it
sounds good.
yeah. So it's and yeah, something of that sort. So I used to ask for that sometimes. Like do you have chakli? So they used to. Srini, you just eat what we give. No, no, don't ask for stuff which is not there with us. So I feel bad about that, but anyways, so,
Yeah,
um, I I mean they kept me happy in one or the other way. Sometimes
that's awesome.
cookies. They used to give some cookies, and but
Mm.
I really wished at that point, because when you're digging, I felt when you're digging down into your subconscious mind, into that exhaustion zone,
Yeah.
you become so transparent within yourself, in terms of you speak your mind out.
Mm.
So I felt at that point, this snack, this South Indian snack which I like.
Mm.
Um, but unfortunately, I couldn't get that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's funny.
that
Funny story and
that was
cool. I interviewed Divya Tate, race director of Inspire India, and I know you've ridden some of her events as well. And she was telling me about an Indian
yeah,
snack.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a burger that you get from street vendors. It's like this vegetarian burger type thing. I don't know if you know.
Vada pav. Vada
Ah,
pav or
yeah,
vada
exactly.
pav. Minakshi vada pav. He's from Pune, so
Yeah,
he
yeah,
must be
yeah.
referring to vada pav. Yeah,
Okay, very cool. Okay, so
yeah.
Srinivas, what do you like
And
drinking?
apart
What's
from
your
this,
favorite ride hydration?
yeah. So I've experimented quite a bit, and I like scratch
Ah,
hydration mix.
yeah.
I like scratch. Really, I like scratch. It's too good for me. I've also tried
Mm,
Winforce hydration mix.
mm,
So in Race Around Austria, I did use Winforce, but I love scratch hydration mix. I also use Ensure for my calories. Ensure, which is available in chocolate flavor in US, because
mm,
in India we don't get that uh, pre-mixed uh, form. In India we
mm.
get powder form, which you have to mix it and then mix it in water. But
Huh.
in US, you get Ensure, the chocolate one. So I like the chocolate flavor Ensure. In Race Around Austria, I tried WinForce hydration mix and also WinForce um, gel and SIS gel. And also, I have tried Securo meal replacement. So, the way I chose was what was logistically available in that particular place. So,
Mm.
in India, it is so difficult to get the scratch hydration mix
Mm.
or the Ensure or WinForce and all that. So,
Right.
logistically, it is challenging.
Mm.
Uh, Even though I like Scratch, anytime if you ask me which hydration mix do you need, I would say Scratch hydration mix and also SIS gel. I like
Mm.
them, and yeah. So as far as um, meal replacement is concerned, liquid food is concerned, yeah. In US, I would say if I'm racing in US, I would say I will go with Ensure,
Right,
the
right.
chocolate one.
Yeah, very popular choices and good choices as well. I know several guests on the show have also mentioned Scratch Labs hydration mix, and I also quite enjoy that flavor. It's nice and subtle, not too sweet or rich. Very nice. Okay, Srinivas, after a long, hard ride like RAAM, Race Around Austria, something else, what do you
Yeah.
enjoy eating afterwards? What's your favorite
Yeah.
post-ride meal?
Yeah, usually Prafula, my wife, whatever she cooks, so
Hmm.
uh, I feel that is very wholesome. And, whatever she cooks, usually she cooks some pulses, you know, the gravy made out of pulses
Hmm.
and rice. So now I don't use rice. I use a lot of millet. So it is ragi. It's a kind of a millet which is grown in South India. So this millet is rich in iron and protein
Hmm.
and fiber. So and certain microminerals. It has very low glycemic index,
Hmm.
not like rice and
Hmm.
other cereals. So they powder it, and there is a ragi flour. You boil it and make a porridge, and then a ball out of it. So it's like a porridge turned into a ball. That's called as a ragi ball.
Huh.
So you take pulses and the ragi ball. So you eat along with that. You eat with your
Oh,
hands. So you
sounds
know,
delicious.
yeah,
All right. Your wife will have to prepare some
yeah.
for us.
It's a whole meal. It's a whole meal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds really good. I'll have to get some of that for the next race across America.
Oh, I wish I could get ragi there. Yeah.
Okay, Srinivas. Do you prefer climbs, descents, rollers, or flats?
Yeah, I love the rollers. I really
Huh.
love rollers. I enjoy Missouri. The moment I enter Missouri, the,
Yeah.
when you leave Kansas, those rollers are amazing. I really like them. I
Hmm.
find a rhythm. I play my nice music, and I try to sync my climb and ascent with the beats of the music.
Ah, that's a
So
nice strategy. Yeah, good
I
technique,
love rollers.
Srinivas. Yeah, must be fun. I couldn't imagine how long your
Yeah. So
playlist
you
was for a race across America.
oh, it's a spectrum. It's on one end of the spectrum you have some of the Tibetan chants. On the other end of the spectrum you have some folk songs of the Indian folk songs. So it's very wide spectrum.
Hmm.
So
That's pretty cool, though. Nice perspective. Thanks for sharing that tidbit of information. Nice to learn about how you cope with all of what I used to call the rolling hills of misery there, as you mentioned, in Missouri. It's just one hill after the next, and it's nonstop.
true.
Okay, Srinivas, do you like going down hills? Do you know what your max speed downhill
Yeah.
has been?
Oh, Justin, I love going downhill, but in 2018, in race around 5 days before race around Austria,
Hmm.
I did go crazy on the downhill, and I maybe around 90 to 100 kilometers per hour, and I did get into that rush, and I crashed
Hmm.
uh, badly. That my giant propel frame broke into two, and
Wow.
I did sustain injuries to my right finger bone, right metacarpal, and there were 4 ribs that were fractured 5 days before the race.
Wow.
But my the first thing that I checked was my long bones and my clavicles, which were fine, and my so I was lucky to survive that crash on that downhill, which I went really crazy, which I shouldn't have. That to 5 days before a race like Race Around Austria, and unfortunately I lost my bike. That pain is more. Even till date I regret getting into that crazy downhill distance. So since then I've become very guarded in going downhill, because the kind of mindset that you carry, the downhill in India. So when I'm so confident on the downhills of India, I can't replicate the stuff. I can't take the same mindset to race around. I mean, to Austria or any other continent. So because it's a different continent, it's a different road. The banking of the roads are different, and so probably I did not pay attention to all these factors. Now in the hindsight, when I look back, I feel I should respect a place, a new country, a new continent, and go easy. Don't go crazy on any aspect that way. But yeah, it was a lesson for me. So since then I've been very guarded on my downhill.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, glad you did survive that. I mean, you did have sustained some injuries, but of course you've recovered since then. And it's insane that you sustained those injuries just 5 days before that race, and you actually did end up racing in it, right? And completing it.
Yeah. That was one big story, in terms of 5 days before the race. When I crashed, I called my crew members were not there in Austria, so I called up. In fact, there were 2 riders who helped me out, who were riding with me. They put me in the car and dropped me to the cafe there. So I tried to get in touch with my crew members in India, telling them that I have met with a crash and I'm okay, and my bike is damaged. I need another bike. So when you guys are coming from India, please do get another bike, another spare bike of mine, which is in India, at my home. So you won't believe, one of my crew members, 2 days before the race, he did pick up the bike. He was traveling to Austria, to my place. En route, when he landed in Austria, he says that the bike got damaged because of improper packing. So the place where where the rear wheel gets fixed to the frame. So that part of the frame was broken.
Wow.
And when he conveyed this, and I was like, I was already shattered, but now I was like completely, like, why is this happening with me? And then one of my school friends who was there as my crew members in Race Across America in 2017, as well as in Race Around Austria. So he was also there with me. He said, Srini, don't worry, man. Let's figure out what we can do. So we went in search of rental bikes. I thought, okay, let me go for rent. See if there are any bikes that are there for rent. So we visited many bike shops and all that. So they said, we don't have any bike for rent, but if you want, there is one specialized Alice Sprint which I can give you for a good price of 1,200 euros. So I said, I told Sudha, he was my school friend. Sudha, should we really go ahead, man? He said, see, there is no other option. If you want to race, then we have to go ahead. So let's take it on our stride. Let's see what happens. I know it's tough on us as far as expenditure is concerned, but okay, so we went ahead with a specialized Alex sprint, which was 54 centimeter bike, because I ride a 52 or a 51. So I had to manage with 54. And
Wow.
yeah, so right before the race, four fractured ribs, and one fractured finger, and two bikes damaged. It was
Oh my
not
goodness.
a tragedy,
That is quite the
yeah,
story,
but
Srinivas. Wonder, I mean, you really had an ultra adventure that year for the race around Austria, but yet, in spite of all that, you came out with excellent resilience and you completed it, and of course, became the first Indian to do so. So, what a journey. And earlier, we were talking about
yeah,
how difficult it is, not just during the race, but even just to get to the starting line. But I think your story definitely epitomizes the difficulty of trying to get to a starting line because you had all the odds against you and you had every reason to quit and throw in a towel and nobody would have blamed you. But yet you got on a new bicycle that you just purchased after two were damaged and you still were able to complete it. So I think that really talks volumes about the kind of mindset that you have and the reason why you were able to accomplish all that you have and be the first Indian to finish these ultra cycling events that are the toughest in the world. So well done with that.
yeah. Thanks, Justin. But I will tell you, I should give the credit to my crew. Especially Sudha, who did boost me up. I was already broken at that point. He just said, Srini, we have experienced RAM also the same way. Like things are not going to come easy for us. We know that. So these guys, my crew, did step me up and put me on the bike. So I would say that it's 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 their support and the kind of emotional support which they offered, and they said we are with you, and you keep riding. You won't believe, Justin. En route, there was one spectator. He's an Austrian. Somewhere on the third or the fourth day, he just said one thing when we were riding. It was raining, but that guy was somewhere at the cafe. He said he said he was clapping, and he said, "Hang in there, you will make it. Hang in there, buddy, you will make it." That was ringing all the time right from the start. And somewhere in the middle of the race, when this guy said, we don't know him. He was just a spectator. He was maybe a fan who was following the race. And he said, "Hang in there, buddy, you will make it." So Sudha and I felt really nice when we heard that, because Race Around Austria, if I give you a just brief about Race Around Austria, it's all mountains, 2,200-kilometer race, and they have four cutoff points. There are four hard cutoff points, not like RAM. You have some soft cutoff points, right? The two soft cutoff points. So Race Around Austria has four cutoff points, which are hard cutoff points. So it was, for us, it was the four cutoff points were like four different races. The first cutoff point, which is Halben Range, we made it 20 minutes before the cutoff. So that was a big accomplishment. It was like, we finished one big race, something of that. Then the second cutoff point, which was Grossglockner, the highest point of the race, the Grossglockner, you climbed the Grossglockner. We made it again in 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. And again felt, wow, we did it. We were surprising ourselves. But it was a race within a race. There were four races within a race. The third was Blue Den. The Blue Den cutoff point was, we made it 1 hour before the Blue Den cutoff point. But there is a funny part in that Blue Den's cutoff point. You know what? The route book says the Blue Den's cutoff point is at one petrol bar. There was one fuel station, the fuel station, the gas station. So we reached that cutoff or that time station, and we called up the race officials. and we said we have reached here, and to update the time station. But the tracker was showing that you have still not reached the time station. So somewhere we we to figure out that we have not reached the tracker has not been updated for the past half an hour. We really did not pay attention to that, and after half an hour, we noticed that it says that the tracker says that you have not made it to the blue dense cutoff point. So the tracker is still telling that the blue dense cutoff point is going to close in the next 15 or 20 minutes. So in between that rest break or the sleep break that I was, somebody from India, one of my friends from India, he WhatsApped my crew. He said, "Man, why are you not reaching the blue dense cutoff point? You just have 20 minutes to reach there." So no, my crew chief, that is Sudha, he said, "No, we have already reached. We are at the petrol, gas station, fuel station." There was some confusion created, and had to rush to that blue dense cutoff point in the next 15 minutes, somewhere around 8 kilometers. That's around 5 miles, but it was through the traffic. So the last cutoff point, after it was 132 hours, we made it 2 hours before the 132 hours. So Race Around Austria was actually 4 races in one single race.
Incredible.
It was very close. Maybe because I wouldn't say it's because of the injury. I don't know, but we made it. That's the best part. But I was the last guy to finish out of the 16 guys. 11 made it. So I was the last guy to finish that race.
Well, what a story that is, Srinivas, and you've told it so well, and I think it really does capture the essence of a multi-day ultra cycling event, that even in the race, there's so many things, setbacks, challenges, obstacles that you have to overcome, and it's a normal part of them. And it just goes to show, again, the resilience that you have and the mindset that you have. Also, it talks volumes about the crew that you have that's able to keep you on track, keep you moving forward, keep you motivated. And, rather than having a crew member who, after you had your bicycle accident, you already lost one bike, somebody could have just told you, okay, maybe it's not time to do this race, and maybe you should just come back home, or especially after your second bike broke, then just give up. So it really is cool that you've been able to put together not just the team, but also all the training, the preparation, and to just embrace that ultra mindset to keep going and to see how far you can go and never give up and never give in. And so I think all of your races, and especially this race around Austria, it's so well deserved. And I'm glad we were able to capture the story here on the show, because it is inspirational. But more than that, it also captures, again, the essence of what it means to be an ultra cyclist, and the essence of what an ultra cycling event is and what it entails. So big congratulations again on overcoming all those obstacles. And of course, now you can bask in the glory of being the first Indian to complete that race. And what an adventure that'll be for all the generations to tell there in your home country. So I'm curious, Srinivas, wherever you are in the world, I know you travel a lot because you serve in the army. When do you enjoy riding the most? Which season? During the fall, the winter, the spring, or the summertime? When it's hot or cold, or in between?
Yeah. So I would love to ride in summers and winters, not in rain, but
Yeah.
summers and winters. Yeah, because winters, yes, especially if you are in that part of India, the southern part of India, winters are okay, not so harsh. But in the northern part of India, the winters are really harsh. So there, I like the summers and or the spring. But yeah, but generally, India being a tropical country, so summers and winters are good. Rain, yeah, it damages your bike, so that's the only concern. Because you know,
Yeah.
getting your bike spares and all that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that way.
Sounds like you have high regard for your bikes. You take good care of them. And so that's always nice to hear. Now, Srinivas, what time of day do you prefer all of your training? Do you like training in the morning, in the afternoon, or the evening?
Yeah, I like to train in the morning. So yeah, mornings are better because of less of traffic. Most of the places, the traffic does get more by 7 in the morning. So I
Mm,
wish to finish my ride before 7:30. So
mm,
between 4:30 to 7:30. Um, in one of the congested city like Pune, I used to pick up at 2:30, have my breakfast by 2:45, 2:50, then get on my bike and 3 in the morning and ride till 10, ride till 6:45 or so, and then return back home by
wow.
7 and go to hospital by 8:30.
Jeez.
So yeah, but I prefer finishing off my training schedule during the day.
Mm,
Uh, but 2017 and 18, Alberto used to give me training schedules both in the morning and evening.
mm.
So I used to ride around 20 miles in the morning and 20 miles in the evening. So, otherwise, I do prefer to finish off my training rides in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, very, very disciplined and motivated to be able to wake up at 2:30. I can't say that most of us are waking up that early to train. Now, Srinivas, you've done a lot of training. You've woken up very early to do the training. You've also completed many premier ultra cycling events. What do you think in all your years of ultra cycling? Does ultra cycling require more physical or mental training?
Yeah, I when it comes to training, Justin, I feel there is no such differences like physical and mental. It's all one unit. It's a
Mm,
single unit. So when you are getting on the bike, when you are trying to put those miles, you're training both the physical part and the mental part. So I see it as one single unit. I don't find differentiating between the physical and the mental part.
mm,
So I mean, both are one single unit, and no doubt, the mental part is uh, is is important, but I find that there is no difference between these two. It's a one single unit, and because when you train every day, so you
mm.
are training both the physical and the mental part, and I feel I don't find the difference between these two. So
Right.
no doubt you feel that ultrasound is more mental, but somewhere I view
Right.
it is a
You kind
balance.
of you kind of need both and you're training both as you said. So that is very true and well said, Srinivas. And of course you have a lot of experience and I have had a lot of time to experience that for yourself. Another question I have is, in all the events that you've done through the many years, what's been your favorite event?
I would say, I mean, all the events are my favorite events. Whatever, I mean, almost all of them are favorite. If
Yeah.
you see, most of the even the breve rides are very interesting.
Mm.
The self-supported rides that I was doing in India, they're also very interesting. Every ride or race is very unique, that's it. And
Yeah.
every race or ride, I feel is yeah, it has its own challenges, and I feel um, very special about every ride,
Mm.
especially um, an organized ride, whether it's supported or a supported ride. I feel
Yeah.
each one of them is very unique. Um, so for if you give me a chance to if you ask me pick one, I
Yeah.
would love to pick all of them.
Okay, that's
Pick
fair.
up my
No.
breve rides and
Yeah. Well, obviously,
but
it's very clear that you
yeah,
very much have a big
but
passion for ultra cycling, which is great. And it explains why you've been able to do all that you have done because it does require a daily passion to get up at 2:30 in the morning. in spite of everything else, and with your job as well and many other commitments and responsibilities. And I would also agree with you that every event really is, even if it's the same event but in a different year, there's different challenges, both on the course, with the climate, with the weather, with the conditions, but also for yourself. Maybe nutrition isn't working, maybe you didn't pace yourself quite correctly, technical challenges with your bicycle, so on and so forth. So I think that's very true, and I couldn't agree more. And that's why I believe it is very important, not just for us ultra cyclists, but also people who are perhaps just supporting or just spectating, to really realize and appreciate even just one ultra cycling event and the accomplishment that it is. And again, on the show, we talk a lot about, the biggest and greatest, not just events, but also athletes such as yourself. But it's important to realize that even one ultra event, even on the shorter end, say perhaps a 200-mile ride, is a big deal in itself, and it's a big accomplishment. And as you've been explaining through this whole interview, that you're really training not just physically, which is great for your own health and well-being, but also mentally, which is sharpening you for the rest of your life. And I think you exhibit that very well. And it's a lot of fun being able to chat with you about ultra cycling. It's clear that you are very passionate about the sport, and therefore a great ambassador also. I think not just there in India as the first, to complete RAAM and Race Around Austria, but also I think just in the world, I think you have a great story. And also you have proven yourself to be an excellent ultra endurance human being. So well done.
Thanks, Justin. Thank you.
Yeah, and Srinivas, you did send a variety of photos, and I'd love to highlight some of them. I think starting with this one, I think it's a cool graphic. It shows some of your progress through the years as an ultra cyclist. Of course, you did mention doing some of the brevets, and I know, speaking with Divya Tate, whose episode will be coming out shortly, she has also mentioned that even with randonneuring and with the brevets, that started relatively recent compared to other places in the world. And we could see that you've done a lot there since 2009. Of course, you also did one of her rides, the Deccan Cliffhanger, and she told me all about the hangover after. Why don't you tell me a little about that?
Mm. Yeah. So the Deccan Cliffhanger was that's how I qualified for RAAM. So in 2014, when I was in Pune, um, that was the time that I was doing a course, a military course in Pune. Um, a month before that, a month before the race, I came. I just did lay to from the northern tip of India to the southern tip of India. That is lay to Kanya-kumari. And doing that ride, I after finishing that ride, I was detailed for this military course, as I told you, in a place called Lucknow. So at Lucknow, I saw a Facebook post from Divya that there is such a race going on, that is in the month of December 2014. So it was in October that I came to know about this race through Facebook post. Then I knew that I'll be going to Pune to follow up with the course, with the military training that was scheduled. So
Right.
in Lucknow, which is in the northern part of India, so I decided, okay, when I go to Pune, I should give it a try. So, but I did not have a bike. I did not have my crew members. I don't have my cycling gear or any other, those essentials for the race. So when I reached Pune, then I got in touch with Divya. Then I understood when was the race, and the schedule of the race and what are the requirements. Because that was the first time that I was giving it a try for a RAAM qualifier, and I felt, because for me, I came to know about Race Across America in 2009. So in 2009, when they were playing Bicycle Dreams,
Oh yeah.
the
Documentary.
documentary. the bicycle systems. Yeah, the documentary did inspire me, and it was a Bangalore bicycling club which was hosting and playing this documentary, and I got introduced through this bicycling community about RAM. So when I came to know about RAM, I told myself in 2019 when I just got a new bike. So I told myself one day, sometime, I want to do this race. So in 2014, when I just finished Leh to Kanya-kumari, and I thought, okay, let me give it a try. So maybe I'm destined to do it in terms of qualification. So when I reached Pune, when I got in touch with Divya, and she did tell me what are the requirements, and uh, she did tell that you need a crew, and and all that, because I was very new and naive in terms of getting, I mean, understanding the supported format of the race. So you really need a support vehicle and some support crew. So somehow I managed to get a support crew from one of the Pune cycling community, because I'm very new to the place. I'm just doing a military course, but I take off time, and through Facebook and all that, I found out that there is a cycling community, Pune cycling community. I don't have a bike, so I just get in touch with that cycling community, and seek out support in terms of, look, I want to race, and I want to hire a bike, and also a crew, something of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it sounded very weird at that point. When I look back, it's very funny that I don't have a bike, but I want to race. So uh, but the Pune cycling community was good, and they were very they because I introduced myself that to the cycling community, that I did ride from the northern tip of India to southern tip of India a month back, and
Huh.
my bike is in Bangalore, so that's how I mean, my bike is in Kashmir, because I was posted to Kashmir, northern part of India. So I left the bike there itself. So I did not have the bike. When they understood, they said, okay, we can help you out. So that's how I found a few crew members. One of the crew members was Arham. He did team of eight recently with
Oh.
the Super Marrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the team
Yeah.
of eight who finished RAM in 2009. I got in touch with that guy. So he was very new to. I mean, he was just a part of the cycling community, and I told Arham that, see, I want to do this race. Can you crew for me?
Yeah.
He said, okay, I'll crew for you. Go, and I asked him, can you get some more crew members? He said, yeah, there are few of my college mates. I'll ask them, and I'll get them also. So
Yeah.
I found three of the crew members there,
Yeah.
and another guy. So that's how I got into. I did assemble a crew, and fortunately, I also got in touch with the Bangalore guys,
Hmm.
and with the cycling guys. And there was one guy called Sumit. He was my cycling buddy. He offered a bike, so I did get a bike, and
Uh,
um, the Pune cycling guys also gave a car, support vehicle, and we did race. So the first time that I raced, um, I mean, I went, I in the beginning I went very fast, and there was
uh,
a climb, and I did struggle
uh,
going too fast very early in the race, and but yeah, I finished half an hour, I mean 45 minutes before the cutoff. That was um, in December 2014. I finished, just barely finished, but I finished
yeah.
third. So there were around
Wow.
16 riders, only three finished in the cutoff time. So I was the third guy to make it. So I
Hmm.
was very excited about it, that man, I won a ramp finish,
Yeah.
you know. I was
And
very, I was I felt really accomplished at that point, because I felt it's a big deal to be a ramp finisher,
hmm.
and doing a race in this way. So I believed in myself that time. So when I went back to Kashmir, so then my dream to race across America really was getting stronger and stronger.
Huh.
So then I got shifted from Kashmir to another place called Nasik. So that is where I that is where that's how Deccan Cliffhanger helped me to
Mm.
to qualify and
Yeah, that's a very
go
cool
ahead
story,
with
Srinivas.
RAM dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably a lot of us,
Yeah.
including myself, were inspired by the Bicycle Dreams documentary. In fact, I just pulled out my DVD that I own of it last week, and I was cleaning through some old stuff, and I saw it there, and I think I'll watch it again just for fun here shortly through the holiday season. And it definitely is inspirational, and must be so cool looking back to see how far you've come yourself, Srinivas, over the last decade or so. And I
Yeah.
think what I hear from your story is just a lot of passion, but especially if there's a will, there's a way. And it sounds like that even in all of your adventures in ultra cycling, you've definitely had a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, but you've always kind of just looked at them and had fun with it and found a way to make it happen. And I think that is the spirit of what it means to be an ultra cyclist. And I think the beauty of the sport as well, just being able to be creative, come up with ways to make things happen, and to never give up or give in. And so well done with that. And again, I love this graphic. It just goes to show the progression of your ultra cycling career from that very first Deccan Cliffhanger, which is a RAAM qualifier, 2014. Of course, you also did a 1,000 kilometer brevet. The following year, you did the Deccan Cliffhanger again and a 1,200 kilometer brevet. And of course, in 2016, you attempted your first race across America, as you were discussing earlier, and you made it into Ohio. And then in 2017, finally, you were able to celebrate with the victory. And of course, the race around Austria was your greatest adventure in the sense of all the fractured ribs and the broken bicycles, and very impressive. Now, I do have all these other nice photos that you sent, and I'd love to just touch on each one a little bit. But before we get into some of the ones you sent, I did also go ahead and capture some screenshots here of your TEDx talk that you gave entitled The Limitless Boundaries of Human Endurance. I think that was very cool. I did actually listen in on that, and other folks can find you on YouTube or even just Google your name, and there's a whole lot that they can find out about you and hear more about your story. Must have been really fun being able to speak. Did you ever think you would be speaking in such a venue, in such a format like this one day?
Not really, Justin. I, uh, I really felt very special to give a TED talk because I'm not very good. I fumble. I do make sounds like I have pauses like pauses for no reason. So I don't have that kind of flow. I'm not so good to talk, but when I got an opportunity to talk, I should give the right perspective. I really wanted to you know uh, put my story and tell people that when it comes to human endurance, you can really tap deeper through your passion, and there's so much that journey wherein you tap through your passion into your deeper, abilities does transform you. So I wanted to stress on that fact that following a passion does transform an individual, not only that individual, but also people around and a community and a country as a whole,
Mm,
humanity as a whole. So when somebody follows one's passion, it's not just that individual being benefited, but also people around and
most
people.
definitely.
It does affect uh,
Yeah.
a big. I mean, it does serve a bigger purpose. So that is I wanted to stress by putting my own story there. So the idea of the talk was that. So I wish I did my. I mean, I could have done better, but you know, but yeah, that was the intention of my talk. Um, Not just to tell that I finished RAM and Race Around Austria, but
Mm.
my intention was to put my story there and tell people that they have a superpower within them, and if they follow it through their passion, it will definitely help serve a bigger purpose. So that is
Mm.
what
I couldn't agree more, Srini.
was the sole
You know,
intention of the talk.
the passion and the inspiration that comes out of athletes like yourself and for the sport definitely spreads like wildfire. And it is really incredible how we can use ultra cycling as a platform for our own lives to better ourselves, to sharpen our own talents and skills, and but also to touch those around us, and not just those in our family or friends, but quite frankly people all around the world, as we participate in events around the world, but also just share our stories. And so that's why I'm thankful that we're able to capture your story and appreciate your time to be able to hear from you all of your experiences and all that you've learned and garnered from the sport of ultra cycling. I think you paint a beautiful picture through your life and your journey of what somebody is able to accomplish in such a short amount of time, with the sport and with the kind of discipline and passion that you have. And I really do cheer you on for things coming up, which I do want to also touch on. There's these other nice photos that just briefly want to know what each of them is from. So I'm looking at this photo here. Srini, tell me a little bit about this one.
This this is this is the moment, Justin. I mean, so Race Across America 2017. So I mean, being at the finish line with my crew is very very special, Justin. That moment, I felt so much relief, and I was I felt very accomplished to an extent that you won't believe the strange feeling that was running in my mind. Even if I was so content with my own self that I was feeling that even if I die, I'm so happy, man. I'm so happy that I could finish Race Across America. Usually when people cross that finish line, they lift their bikes up, right? The
Yeah.
finishers would lift their bikes up. But I was so grounded. I mean, I felt so connected with the race, emotionally so moved
Mm,
by the race and the people that were there around me.
mm,
So I really bore down at the finish line with my bike. I really bore down at that finish line with the big banner at Annapolis
mm,
dockyard, dockside finish. So I
mm,
really bore down. I put my forehead down to the between. I
mm.
mean, I just thanked for everything that was there around me for me to be at the finish line.
Yeah.
So I was very thankful and grateful to people around me and for the time as such. That time is the strongest factor. I
Right.
know I'm talking philosophical, but that's how I felt at that particular point, and
Mm,
I really bowed down and put my forehead down to that finish line, and
yeah.
I really thanked that way. So I felt very special at that moment, and that moment, is a big deal for any athlete in RAM, for
Mm,
any ultra cyclist,
mm,
and I'm still relishing those moments. It is as fresh as yesterday, and probably it'll go with me, for a long time. And uh, whoever are there on the platform and also who are not there, I would take this
mm,
opportunity, or wherever I get an opportunity, I would like to thank each one of them. So right from Chris to my wife Prafulla, so you have Maika, Sudha, Rutvik,
mm.
Supratim, Shreyas, Dana, Sundar, and Venki. So these guys, they because of the selfless contribution, it did help me to be at that finish line, and each one of them are equally deserve recognition and
Yeah.
appreciation. So
That's
that is,
awesome, Srini.
yeah.
You have
So
you have a lot of humility about you, which is exceptional because, you have accomplished so much. And for somebody that has accomplished what you have, being the first Indian to complete RAM, one would think perhaps you would have a lot of pride and perhaps arrogance about it. But really, you're the exact opposite, and you really have just this beautiful humility about it, and just this genuine joy and passion for the sport and having accomplished such a big thing. And I'm sure your crew really appreciates, all of your appreciation of them. And I'm sure they had a great time just watching your story and your journey. And you're a good representative ambassador for the sport of ultra cycling. And so glad to have you in the ultra family and to meet someone like you course, I see some photos here. I imagine this is from RAAM as well. A nice photograph to give people an idea of what you were looking at through that grueling journey.
Yeah.
I see this photo here. This is from the Race Around
Oh, that was.
Austria. Oh, so is that the rented bicycle that you were talking about?
Yeah. No, that was the new bike that I got. I did not get a bike for rent, so I had to buy a bike from a bike store, which was around 1,200 euros. That is the
All right.
specialized Alice Sprint. So that was the bike that I had to
Right.
buy, and
Yeah, that's so
so
cool.
yeah, this uh,
Very nice. Yeah,
yeah,
well, it's
yeah.
looking good, and you look very happy and content as always there on the finish there. Very well done. What are we looking at here?
Yeah. This is Leh to Kanya-kumari, the northern tip of India to southern tip. So this was in 2014 when when I was in northern part of India in Kashmir.
Right.
So I before doing Race Across America, I always dreamt of doing something in my country. From the northern tip to the southern tip.
Hmm.
If you see the northern tip of India, which is Leh, which is mountainous terrain, and the terrain that you would not find in any other part of the world, wherein you cross mountain passes at around 18,000 feet and 18,000, 17,000 feet. So ranging from 18,000 to 14,000 feet, you have five mountain passes to climb up and down, and then um, move southerly. So this was in September, and we started. It was a self um, sponsored ride in terms of I did assemble a small team. One of my medical assistant and one of my buddy who was there in my unit. So I trained them for to support me in this ride. So we did take we did rent a van, which was by a vegetable from a vegetable market, or one of the vegetable what to say vendor. So
Yeah.
he did he was a young chap around 23, 21 years old.
Hmm.
So from Kashmir. So he was also part of the adventure. So we rode all the way from the northern tip of India to the southern tip,
Right.
and we did it in 15 days. We didn't know uh, we didn't know that we were setting a record. We did submit all our GPS data, and as well as this one, what is it, signatures at every stop by the gazetted officers. So we did submit that evidence to them, to the Limca Book of Records. There is an agency which keeps records, Indian records, and that's how they did judge us as the fastest to cycle from the northern tip to southern tip of India. And yeah, so that also helped me to the one of the learning point of that ride was, when you have a dream, it's so important that you believe in it, and so self belief is what I learned, and that did help me to propel towards this Deccan Cliffhanger race, which was a month later, and obviously after that RAM or thing.
And I was just sharing here now, this is not the route that you took, but just looking at Google Maps to get some sense, an idea of what you're talking about. So from Leh all the way up north here, the very northern end of India, all the way down to
Yeah,
Kanya-kumari.
yeah,
And so that's
yeah,
pretty cool for people who aren't familiar with their geography. You can kind of see the visual here. Now, the course that you
yeah,
did was, in fact, you said it was 4,000 kilometers or 2,500 miles. You set that record
yeah,
15 days in 2014.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
That must have been a really fun adventure. And, as ultra cycling is, and especially when you can do it with friends and crew members, it always makes it, not just a great accomplishment as an athlete, but I think just a highlight of one's life, just being able to go on these grand adventures, and also then to succeed, of course, when you do cross the finishing line. And so I really love the adventures that you've taken, and it's cool that you don't shy away from any of these challenges. Now, as we look at these remaining photographs here, tell us a bit about what's in your bucket list for ultra events still to come. You know, you're 40 years old. In the world of ultra cycling, I guess you would say that's quite young, and you still have many years ahead of you before you hit your prime years. So, what else do you have on the roadmap for you in the years to come, and you know, how are you going to continue trailblazing the way as you have already been?
Since the time I finished Race Around Austria in 2018, I've not, I did not get an opportunity to race because since 2019, early 2019, that is Feb or March 2019, I'm with the mission, the UN mission, and I have not got a chance to really race. So
Mm,
I feel very I feel very left out in the whole game.
mm,
I feel that I'm not able to race because of all the I mean, as such, now it is so difficult to race anywhere because of the pandemic and all that. But
right.
since 2018, I have not raced. I really feel that I should get an opportunity to race every year. But
Mm.
I mean, I want to do RAM every year. You know, if given a chance, if you ask me, do you want to do RAM every year? We will help you out. I would say, yeah, I would love to do RAM every year. You know,
Wow.
but it's practically impossible. Yeah, but it's practically impossible in terms of you know, getting the funds. And I mean, it's so difficult to that too for somebody from India to do RAM every year is a
Mm,
big deal.
mm,
But yes, if you ask me what is the road ahead, I would love to do Race Across America again to better my time.
mm,
Um, I because my my approach to race now has actually changed because initially in the beginning days it was just to
mm.
finish, you know, not to be competitive, you know, just
Right, right.
to finish it was a big deal for me. But now I think I want to, I mean, the kind of mindset that that's exciting for me is be competitive, finish, you know, make it to the podium, something of that sort, you know, try to
Mm,
be competitive. So yeah, so any ultra cycling race, then if I get an opportunity, I would, you know, I want to compete, not just finish the race. So I really don't know what are the opportunities that I have ahead because probably by the end of this year, I will go back to India.
mm,
And when I go back to India, the place where I'm going to be posted to, that is the new postings that I'll be getting.
mm,
So depending on that, I have to choose the races. But definitely, I would love to do Race Across America again and better my
mm.
time. And yeah, I mean, I want to do Race Across America, Race Across the West, and maybe try 24 hours. You know,
Yeah.
the Borrego thing. So these are all just, you know, that's thoughts
Mm,
that are there, but I really don't
yeah.
know how I'm going to do it and when I'm going to do it.
Mm.
So whenever I get a
Well,
chance,
I
I
imagine, Srinivas, if
want to
anybody
do.
could figure it out, you can, especially in your last big race, the race around Austria. You proved that no matter what, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. So
Uh,
I do look forward to welcoming you back in the
I'm just
US because it is exciting, just the stories and adventures that you're able to make and share with us. And so, of course, congratulations here. These are from the Deccan Cliffhanger that you did in 2014 and 15. Very cool. Good race out there held by Inspire India. And again, we have an episode with Divya Tate, the race organizer and director, if people want to learn more about that. I'm curious about this photo here. Tell me about this one.
this is the recent photo picture. This is a picture with the girls in the internally displaced camp in South Sudan. These girls stay just 400 meters behind the camp where we stay.
Mm,
Um, the internally displaced camps, people from the internally displaced camps are displaced because of the civil war. Um, they are um, they have moved out from their villages and moved to safer places. And as part of peacekeeping mission, UN is protecting them, protecting these civilians. So since 2019, when I am here, posted to the mission area, I always felt that no doubt I'm not able to race and all that, but I should make use of my make use of whatever I know towards contributing to the people here. I really felt that I really need to make I'll be able to do justice uh, if I am able to contribute something or the other way. See, I am a doctor here for the UN peacekeepers. So no way that I'm my actions or I'm directly not involved with the internally displaced people. But somewhere, even though I'm not directly involved, they stay 400 meters away from me, and I feel morally responsible that I need to do something to them. So,
Mm.
because I really felt that that what can I do? Can I
Right.
how can I better their lives? So that was
Mm.
the thought that was running in my mind. So then I came up with this project of teaching
Oh.
meditation and yoga because I believe, yeah. So I believe that meditation and yoga does bring in calmness, and that's how when you find calmness in your mind, that's how peace and happiness and satisfaction and contentment. So I believe in that principle. So I wanted to teach the same. I want to tell them because no doubt they are all affected by war and they have seen so
Mm.
much of in the young minds, they have so much of a negative impact on their mind.
Mm.
So I felt, okay, let me teach them that meditation and yoga brings calmness to the mind, and thereby they can find. I mean, the happiness is not a thing of the future; it is being in the present, and meditation yoga teaches you to do that. So I did get in touch with the camp leaders. I told them that I want to teach these girls and the boys meditation and yoga. So we started off this project in July 2019. We
Mm.
continued for almost till November 2019, and
Mm.
most of the girls and the boys were really excited about it. And initially, they were finding it so difficult to keep their eyes closed and meditate. But now they are much better to sit, calmly for almost about 15 minutes. Initially, they
Oh.
found it very weird to do yoga and all that, but now they are good in doing that.
Mm.
So they do understand to the benefits of that. And in 2000, in the same year, I felt okay. Let me go ahead with teaching these girls about how to ride a bicycle, because riding a bicycle here in South Sudan is a taboo for them. Riding any vehicle is a taboo for these girls. So
Mm.
I felt when I came up with this idea, I felt there will not be many girls who would join or be excited about this project.
Mm.
But for my surprise, there were so many girls, around 50 to 55 girls, who were
Oh.
excited and wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle. So when
Oh.
they came up, I really had three bikes, which I borrowed it from others, like the security guys, from some security guys, some mountain bikes. I borrowed it
Yeah.
from them, and
Yeah.
I just managed to have three bikes. And when I see 55 girls, around 50 to 55 girls, I said, man, I'm not going to do justice with these just three bikes. So I
Yeah.
wanted to do, I want to get more bikes for them because only then I can teach them. So I did a fundraising ride, a run. I did a fundraising run on my birthday on 8th November, where I ran for 12 hours from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. I ran 96 kilometers. That is around 60 miles in 12 hours. So I ran for that duration, and I could raise funds for 14 bicycles from the UN and the humanitarian agencies. And so we got 14 bikes, and since November 2019 till March 2020, there were around 100 girls who learned how to ride a bicycle. And these girls are so
Wow.
fast in picking up any skill that you give.
Hmm.
They are just hungry for positivity. They
Hmm.
want somebody to, share something new with them, and they are ready to grasp it. So by March 2020, there were almost around 100 girls who learned how to ride a bicycle. That was I was surprised the way these girls pick up any skill. So I was very excited about it. In fact, I did speak to the East African. There is a right agent organization called the
Hmm.
East African Bike Ride. Which East African Tour, which goes
Hmm.
around 5 East African countries. I got in touch with them, and they said, "Okay, we are excited. You can get these girls, for the East African Bike Tour." So I did all that preparation, but because of the corona, everything did not go as per the plan, and
Hmm.
most of these rides, in fact, my interaction with the girls was stopped because of the corona, and so we are finding it very hard to restart the whole process
Hmm.
because of so many restrictions.
Right.
And yeah, I'm also nearing the fag end of my time is getting over here in the mission area. So I'll be
Yeah.
back to India. But last week I did get in touch with these girls. We did fix the bikes which were broken, So we
Hmm.
did all that. But but somewhere I feel I could do much more.
Well,
And
that's so cool,
I also
Srini.
had I also had plans of opening a gymnasium for them. Some kind of an outdoor gymnasium for them. But unfortunately, it did not work the way I planned, Justin. So I
Hmm.
feel I feel unhappy about it because of the situation. Uh, but in a way, I'm happy that uh, I could actually contribute whatever best I can, and I understood that by giving, there's so much happiness. So I
Wow.
understood that this is the actual purpose of life. That is, when you give your time, energy, resources, there's so much happiness and joy that you feel. And I feel that is the purpose of life. So this South
Yeah.
Sudan tenure, if you tell me what did it teach you, I would say it is the purpose of life,
Hmm.
which is you make a positive impact. If you can make a positive impact in others' life, that's nothing like it.
Hmm.
So I understood this through them, and I am so
Yeah.
happy that they gave me an opportunity to understand the purpose of life.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story with us, Srini. And I couldn't agree more that oftentimes you get more in return than what you give out. And of course, I can see that in you, the joy and positivity that you yourself have from being involved with them and empowering them just with the things that you're passionate about and things that you have experience with and talents in. And so that's a very awesome part of your story. And I think it is inspirational for all of us as ultra cyclists, and it can help us broaden our own perspectives to see how we might be able to use the platforms that we have, the experience, the tools, the equipment that we might have to help somebody who is in need. And it is amazing that it doesn't take a whole lot to make a big impact in someone's world. So I can only imagine what else you'll be able to accomplish in your lifetime through all that you do all around the world, and also as you continue to share your story, but also continue telling your story. There's still a long road ahead, many ultra events, and just a lot of adventures. So I am very excited for that. And you did talk earlier about all the running, the meditation, and so on and so forth. And I did want to point out on your Facebook page to everyone, Team Srini, people can visit you there and follow you. I did see this here. I can understand it's a fun way. You've called it my beer workout for the week. Meditation, yoga, bike, exercise, educate, and run. I think a lot of people watching can probably jump on board with that. So, Srini, you really do make everything quite fun. I will say that it's been really a pleasure talking with you, and all I can feel is this, sense of warmth and joy, and so it's nice being able to capture your story for more to know, and it'll be great to keep following your journey as you go along. And I know there's still a lot more that you'd like to do, and I hope you can make it out here to the Race Across America more often. It'd be nice to meet you here in the US, but if not, hopefully one day when you're there in back in India for a little while, then perhaps we can visit you there. And Srini, so in
Yeah, you're
closing
welcome.
out
You're
our
always
time
welcome.
together, just a couple other short questions that I'd like to ask in closing here. And I do hope to have you on the show again in the
Yeah.
near future to learn even more about you and to hear about all your plans that you have coming up. But I'm just wondering for you, Srini, what do you think are the tips that you would give to people who want to get started with ultra cycling? What would you tell people? How would you encourage them? What's helped you?
Okay. Um, I would say that finding that passion in ultra cycling, if you find that that's your passion, it's a big thing. Finding that passion itself is a big step. If you
Mm,
find that you're passionate about ultra cycling, then it is sky is the limit. So there is so much that you can explore and so much to learn from. You know, I mean, just by looking, I got inspired by Bicycle Dreams. Now you have so much of ultra cycling stuff happening.
mm,
Just following your channel, there are so many wonderful athletes that you have interviewed and all that. So everybody is an inspiration. Everybody is an
mm,
inspiration. So if you have found your passion in ultra cycling, that is the first step. You have found
mm,
it, and it will. I mean, the kind of possibilities that can work are infinite.
mm.
So and with shows like these and most of the content that we have, the races that we have, is so much more for. There's so much fun, for ultra cyclists. So try to make the best of all that. But the first step is finding that passion and
Mm.
um, yeah,
Yeah, well said, Srini. I think that is important, and it's clear that you have a great deal of that passion, not just to better yourself and to reach for new heights and to set off on grand adventures, but with all your stories, even bettering others and helping others through the journey, your crew, the people that you serve in the communities where you are stationed in the army. And so I would say thank you for all of us in the Ultra family for being such a great representative of the sport. And also perhaps a thank you on behalf of all the lives that you have already touched and the many lives that you will continue to touch. It is not a small thing, and I think a great achievement for yourself, just as great as the Race Across America and finishing that as the first solo Indian racer, that you have been able to touch so many lives and live so selflessly and compassionately for others. So a lot of kudos for you there, and please keep on going, both with all of those efforts in the communities, but also with your ultra cycling. Do look forward to following you in your upcoming races. So just a short couple questions here, sprint round to the finish line as we close out, Trini. First fun question I have for you is,
yeah,
how would you
sure.
rate yourself in terms of bicycle maintenance, taking care of your bike, changing out the tires, lubing your chains, doing all the maintenance on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent? What would you give yourself?
Four, not so good.
4.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not too
four.
bad. It's
Yeah.
about average. Yeah, we've had a few lower, so you're in good company. Okay, what is your dream bicycle, Shrini, or do you already own it?
Big bicycle. I I mean I like specialized specialized tarmac. So I mean I would love to own a the new specialized tarmac that is there, and also Canyon the time trial bike.
Hmm.
The new Canyon time trial bike.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, sounds nice. Hope to see you on one of those bikes in your next race across America, hopefully sooner rather than later. But Srini, tell me as a
I'm
last
just dreaming about it.
yeah. Well, I'm sure your dreams will come true. And especially for all that you do for the people around you in those communities, I do hope God's blessings on you for being able to come out back to the Race Across America very soon. And we'll look forward to cheering you on. Now, you're a great inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story. But Srini, as a final question, who would you want to nominate for an episode on this show? Has there been somebody that has inspired you, or perhaps just a story that you would like to know more about yourself?
See, there are so many. I would say there are so many people who who are really good. There's one guy who finished Trans Am for the first time from India. His name
Oh,
is Opendro. He's an amazing ultra cyclist. He does not. I mean, he's the first from India to finish Trans Am. So Upendro is an amazing cyclist who is not so much seen in social media and all that. But he's an amazing guy. He does a lot of self-supported races,
mm,
and I mean he that the spirit of ultra cycling is very evident, is very strong in him. And one of my crew member called Gyaninder Sharma, he did North Cape 4000. Again, I've ridden a 1,200 kilometer breve with him.
mm,
Again, amazing athlete, ultra cyclist. The spirit is what is inspiring for me. These two guys, if you, I mean, there are many. Another guy called Rajkumar Kaur. He
mm,
goes around the Western Ghats of India, and he has done many ultra cycling rides. Even he has done PBP last year, and these three guys are good in India. They're not so much spoken. They have, but
mm,
they have done big things like doing North Cape is a big deal.
mm.
Doing Transat is a big thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
PVP and not of many have done PVP from India, but
yeah.
this guy even if you follow this guy Rajkumar Kaur, he does a lot of riding in the Western Ghats of India, which is rich
Mm,
in biodive. I mean, his rides also. When I follow his rides, his pictures,
mm,
there's so much of biodiversity that he talks about, so much
mm,
culture, so much you feel proud about being a part of the country.
mm,
So you come to know so much about the country through these cycling rides, and that's what is inspiring for me. So these
mm.
three guys, I feel someday you need to talk to them, and there's so much depth in their, so much substance in their story.
Mm. Yeah. No, they sound like very interesting athletes and humans to be able to chat with. So thank you for those nominations, Srini. But of course, for this episode, so thankful to you for sharing your story and very nice to meet you. Hope to be able to chat with you again. And of course, we will be cheering you on for all of your adventures upcoming and look forward to having you back in the US for some kind of race, hopefully the race across America or perhaps the race across the West. So thank you so much for taking the time out of what I'm sure is a busy schedule in all that you do. And I just saw this nice photo here and your Facebook, and this was from the Race Around Austria, and it's a nice one to end with. I think the colors and the
Yeah.
brightness really paints the picture of who you are, Srini, as a person and as an ultra cyclist. Just joyful, positive, and of course, an excellent ultra cyclist. So thank you again, Srini. It's been a pleasure. And to everybody watching at home, I hope you enjoyed this episode with a very accomplished and exceptional ultra cyclist, not just an Indian one, although he is the first to accomplish the race across America and race around Austria. But I think his story has a lot to give us all some motivation and some ideas for using ultra cycling for ourselves. So definitely check out Srini's TEDx talk on the limitless boundaries of human endurance. And we look forward to seeing you out on the road soon. So until then, everyone, keep spinning ultra.